Welcome back to a brand new season of Rip It Up. Every renovation teaches you something, but it's only after you've lived through the dust, the delays and the decisions, and then done it again like me, that the real lessons appear. This season, we're revisiting our biggest renovation topics, not with theory, not with optimism, but with hindsight. Process, planning, lighting, kitchens, bathroom, windows, what worked, what didn't, and what we'd never do the same way again. This is What We Wish We Knew Then.
Welcome back to the podcast. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Hazel. Welcome to Rip It Up. Thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm delighted to be here. Thanks so much.
So for anyone who doesn't know Hazel, Hazel Burton, the home reset, home organizer extraordinaire, the Irish Marie Kondo, is that fair to say?
Yeah, okay, I'll take it.
She just stopped organising now.
I actually met her. No, she's still going strong. I think she kind of wrote back a little bit on just how strict she was about it because she had her own children, and I think she realised, actually, hang on, it's quite hard to be organised when you have kids. So she just made it
nothing
a bit
more humbling, right?
That.
Yeah, she just became a little bit more relatable. And I think, yeah, absolutely, when you have kids, like, all the rules kind of go out the window. But she is a real force to be reckoned with. Like, when she walked into the room, she's a very small little lady and very, very quiet and calm. And there was thousands of people in the room and everyone just was totally silent and let her do her thing. She was fab. She just had this kind of aura. I thought she was brilliant.
Oh my God, I agree with you that
presence, don't they?
Yeah, there's just nothing more humbling though than having kids. Like, I feel like I owe personal apologies to everyone's house that I've been to that had small kids and I judged that it wasn't tidy.
Yes, or
I feel like I should say I'd write them a handwritten letter to say, I'm sorry I judged your house. It was messy. Now I have 2 kids. I realise how possible it is.
And also I apologise to lots of my friends who had kids before me for like the horrible toys that I bought that were very, very noisy.
Oh God.
And hard to store. I was just bringing in these massive teddy bears and being like, you're welcome. And then I was gone. So now I'm more, thoughtful about what I'm buying.
I copied one of our friends and bought one of my godchildren a set of drums for his birthday, third birthday the other month, and not like electronic ones that you can turn off. Like, I'm talking wood, metal cymbals.
Class. They must love you.
I knew what I was doing.
You knew what you were doing for sure.
He loves it. He absolutely loves it.
Of course.
So
okay,
Hazel, go Jen. Sorry.
We are talking about staying clutter-free, home organisation, and is there any better time than before, during, after renovation to get this done? Because the move out of your house, probably into a rental home during your renovation, and then the move back in, a new place for everything, it is like, it's huge, isn't it? Like, it's and I'll come out and state my position on this. I'm a dumper. I am ruthless. I have no problem getting black sacks and throwing everything into it and like just getting rid of stuff. But even for me, there's a few bits and pieces where I'm like, this is so hard. So many decisions.
Yeah. It's so many. Listen, I think what you said is correct, completely correct. I think the more organised we are in all those different stages that you mentioned, and we've done that with our clients quite a bit, out to a rental, trying to set that rental up for the kids, especially because people don't want so much upheaval for them, trying to set that up and thinking, what do I need in that home, but actually we'll still need later when I come back to this home. But maybe there's things that are only needed when you come back, when you fully renovate. Like, there's so many decisions, and then it's like, well, actually, can we let these things go? And sustainably, how do we let go of them? So I know you're saying black sacks. I'm sure we're talking, when we say that, we mean to charity or to sell or to give. And
the Oxford, the post back bag, the Oxfam post back bag is my best friend. I love it so much.
Such a great initiative, like, to make sure that you're making guilt-free decisions. But I think it's critical that you're thinking in advance. I know lots of people are like, okay, I've just finished my renovation, we're just about to move back in, or they might say, we're back in, can you unpack me? But they've done zero declutter before, so that's when it's super chaotic, when there's been no pre-plan around, well, what do I actually need when I get to that last stage of the journey, and is there things that we could be doing all along to kind of save us from the crazy madness at the end? And there definitely is.
So this might be a good time, Hazel, for listener, if they're not familiar with you, and they can find you on Instagram, right, in the Home Reset, but maybe just take a step back and talk us through, like, what is it that you offer for clients at a high level, and what is what do you find that they need the most?
So I'm a CPD certified professional organizer. My business, like you said, it's the Home Reset. And what we do our bread and butter really is decluttering and reorganizing people in their current homes. So maybe they're feeling overwhelmed with stuff, they don't have sufficient storage, or maybe just too much stuff. And a lot of times people have some sort of thing, something happens maybe in their lives that they just get to that point of overwhelm, and then we come in and we physically do the service. Some people think I just talk about it because I talk about it a lot and I'm very passionate, but no, I'm physically with my team every day in clients' houses, emptying, categorizing and decluttering. But what we found was a huge, part of our business now over the last kind of 2 years has been house moves. So whether that's post renovation, pre-renovation, or just moving from house A to B, that's a hugely stressful time in people's lives. So where we come in, what we do is, and I'd love to work with a client before, during and after, obviously for multiple reasons, but for me it makes the end point much more like less stressful. I'm not going to say it's completely stress free, because you guys know a move, by its nature is one of the most stressful things that we can do. But if you were working with us throughout, from before you've moved out to your rental, like you said, or before you go back into your newly renovated home, to declutter what you don't need, to remove sustainably the things that you are no longer going to serve you, then it makes the whole thing so much easier. So that's where we come in. So we actually come in, help you make those decisions, help you remove the items, and then like my favorite part is then setting up the new, let's say, kitchen as an example. So your brand new installed kitchen, literally putting everything into those presses, making sure that you're utilizing the space, optimizing it as best you can. And if there are products or additional things that we, baskets, nice hangers, the things that help those systems to be, maintainable, because obviously what's going to work for you, Jenny, what's going to work for you, Kate, may not work for me. So I need to quickly get to know the clients, quickly realize how they live or want to live in their spaces, and help them set up systems then that are going to coincide with that. So make sure whatever their habits are daily, that I'm aligning with that in terms of how I set up their stuff in their homes, because it's a very personal thing. So I need to very quickly get to know, well, what's going to work for you and what didn't work for you before. Like, what lessons have we learned in our previous homes that we can take into our newly renovated home, and make sure we don't make those mistakes. And so that's essentially how we help solve a lot of those issues.
It's really interesting, because it is different for every renovation as well, right? Because some renovations, people are moving back in with parents, some people are moving into a rental, some people are putting everything in storage and moving away altogether. And so it all requires a different, I suppose, approach probably for you. Because when we moved out of our house, we were moving out of a relatively big house, whatever, to a small enough rental that had a tiny kitchen. And when I say we have a kitchen appliances, we have kitchen appliances coming out our nose. So I was like, what the hell am I going to do with all my kitchen stuff? So it took me weeks of thought beforehand to be like, what do I really need in this rental for this 9 or 12 months that I'm going to be in there? And what can I box away and store in a garage somewhere, or wherever I was storing it?
Yes.
Versus what am I bringing with me? And then am I putting stuff in storage that's just going to stay there, and then I'm going to dump it when I move back in? So doing that kind of process as early on as possible in your renovation is really important.
And even thinking so I have only done very small kind of renovations here. We got a new kitchen, things like that. But this is before I even did this job. Obviously, it's just inherent. That's my personality or whatever. But I really went into the minute detail of where's everything going to live. So I think if you can do a mapping exercise, and listen, not to overwhelm people, in an ideal world, you're mapping like you had to do, Kate. What do I have here? What's going to actually fit? So that will answer the question of what needs to be stored. But then you need to review what I'm saying I'm storing to then map it to your new home, to think, well, actually, do I need a pancake maker anymore? Are we actually going to still do that? Do we need to, and but that's very minute detail. I did it here. I was literally saying to the kitchen designer, where does my cling film live? And his head was melted with me.
It's so true.
But that's important to use cling film all the time, or
no,
that.
We did it, 10 years ago. We did our kitchen, or 9 years ago at this point. So they didn't have now you have all your inserts for your cling film, and it's everything. They've thought about it more, and obviously we were just doing what we could afford at that point in time. But I made sure, and it doesn't matter about pricing really, because you can make sure there's a place for everything, and that's the crux of it all. People always say, oh God, I just can't get it on top of my home, I just can't organize it. But the crux of it is that you have a place for everything, and you put everything into that place, and there's nothing else to it. It's a very simplistic way of saying it, because when you don't have the place, you wouldn't have, Kate, in your rental, what do you do? And it is about storage, and sometimes you just have to let things go, but we don't want to be wasting money by paying for storage, and we also don't want to have to rebuy things. So it's a difficult process for a number of reasons, and you touched on it at the beginning, Jenny, saying you get decision fatigue. So I find working with
Oh God,
clients
totally.
early in the morning, we're keeping a lot more that by, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, people are like, "Do you know what, let's just let it go." But they're they're just
Yeah.
overwhelmed with having to make those constant decisions and really, really tired. Lots of my clients will say the next day after we've worked together, "Do you know, I slept really well because I was just so drained
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
energy that went into it." So you do have to allow yourself, like, go easy on yourself, and maybe not, like, the earlier you can start to try and think about those mapping exercises for the spaces that you're renovating, the better the better decisions you'll make, the more informed decisions you'll make. And the likelihood is that later on in the process, it's going to be less stressful. I'm not going to say stress-free because I think that's going to be impossible, but
Impossible in
less stressful.
renovation.
So
But it's
do
amazing
you
when you have the
like,
place. Sorry, can I ask you one thing? Just talking about the purposeful, like, cling film drawers and all that kind of stuff, and like that's why I think things like kitchens and utilities and stuff, and just built-in storage in general, but mainly kitchens and utilities are so important early on to be kind of deciding on a home for everything. Do you allow for a junk drawer in a kitchen,
I
or
knew
is
you were
that a
going to ask that
no-go in your
question.
mind?
I wish I could, like, carry you over to my junk drawer. I actually just shared a thing about it online. People think that they need these drawers for things to land in, and like so for me, no is the quick answer. No, I don't think you need a junk drawer. I think I have a drawer in my kitchen that has, I'll send you a picture after, it has the screwdrivers, the Allen key, the thing to open my electricity box, tape, command hooks, and it's where we store our, like, used batteries until I take them to recycle, and that's it. So when post comes in, so people always go, "Where's my post going to go?" As much as possible, I don't have posts, like the utilities, all the bills, like nothing comes in
Yeah.
paper. And the odd thing that does come, like whether it's for the car or whatever, I just action it at that time. Like, it might sit on the counter till that day, but I try action the things. I think it's about, some people need an actionable drawer or sort of an inbox we used to do, like, like back in the
Oh
days
yeah,
when
the old
everything was,
secretary
that's
inbox.
true.
yeah, but I've
yeah.
put those in. People have, like, some homes have had like desks in that kind of living kitchen space where homework happens, but also life admin happens as well. But if you can hide it, but it like, things have a place. So there's definite inbox and outbox situation. We're moving away from paper a lot more, so I think it is easier to say to people, like, you actually don't need this junk drawer. You need a well organized drawer for the things that you need at hand in your kitchen. Like I said, those couple of things for changing batteries and in toys and fixing the whatever plugged sockets if they go, but reams and tons of tapes and all. No,
Yeah.
in a regular junk drawer, I don't think you need. Now, actually, like kitchen design, they are putting those kind of dividers into a separate drawer. They're almost like
Yeah.
building, or like charging drawers to me. I don't know what your thoughts are on these charging drawers.
No.
They're just turning into a dump drawer again, like a really
No.
deep
Yeah.
drawer, and people are
So
supposed to. Nobody does
I
that.
hate tech. I hate tech in general built into cabinetry. I hate feature walls fitting a specific TV because your TV will be outdated in about 3 years.
Yes.
I hate chargers because usually they end up being a slow charger because the charger changes again for the phone in 2 years. Do you know? So like, I think generally tech built into cabinetry is a
Yeah, it
no-go
does
for
go
me.
outdated pretty quickly.
Well, there you go. And so sometimes people are like, "Look what I got, this lovely drawer," but I'm like, no one's leaving their device in the drawer. Nobody, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're going to just
Or
pile
the
on
dog.
top.
What do you think of the dog bowls in the kitchen kicker?
It builds
So
in
I-
Kick it.
tables.
You have to kick it and open it. And I'm like, but my dog needs it all the time.
Yeah.
So it's open all the time.
So I sent this to my friend. She's in the middle of it, but she's just about to start her renovation. And I was like, "Isn't this so cool?" She's obviously, dogs will be in her future, or her kids are too small. But she was like, the smell. She was like,
Yeah.
"It's not the whole thing just going to smell?" And I was like, "Oh, I never actually thought about that." I
dog
thought it
smell.
looks kind of cool. I don't have pets though, so
But
again,
like, your dog needs
No.
water all day long, not
Yeah.
when you decide to kick the thing open. So I think getting
I
nice
don't
looking
mind having
dog
like a
bowls with a nice little
designated
tray.
space
Yeah.
where it makes sense to
Yeah.
put them or something like that is fine. But you also need to take them out and clean them. I just feel like that area would get dirty because, like,
Yeah,
my dog
that's-
is
Yeah,
not
for sure.
like, he likes to kind of eat and then like he'll got like a mat
Bring him
his
around the
bowls
place.
as it is. Yeah, exactly. Kinda
I guess it
experiential
only
eating
worked
experience.
if you just had like visiting dogs. Because
Visiting dogs.
visiting dogs are here for visit. Yeah, because for me, I'd fall over that. Like,
Fair.
if there's any
Yeah,
trip
yeah.
hazards,
Same.
I'm dead. That's essentially why I'm organized. Some things aren't on the floor and I won't fall.
Yeah.
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 I think this is all such a good area though, about like, because someone listening is going to be like, I would love that. That would really make sense for me. I want to in, out, evenings, whatever. So like, I feel like a lot of what you're saying is so specific to the person.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go through that process of being like, what is your life like? Like, how do you figure out what's going to work for someone versus not?
I do, and people say this to me all the time because, like, you could be working with a client, I could be working with a client who's just lost someone very close to them, who like is in that transitional maybe separation or something's changing in their lives. Kids are growing up, kids are leaving, kids have arrived, like brand new babies are coming into the world. Like it's it's so many like transitional times in their lives. That's the word I was trying to find. Transitional times in their lives, and like I'm a total stranger at the door all of a sudden, and I just very quick. I don't know if it's a skill or what, but I just very quickly need to figure out. Like some clients need me to be a bit stricter. Maybe say, you know what, you really actually don't need that. Other clients absolutely don't need me to tell them. Or don't want me to tell them what to do, and absolutely don't need me to be strict because they need a softer approach. But I keep reminding them by the end of the day, we're looking. So we talk a lot about what their goal is for the space at the beginning. So I know some clients will say, like, I don't want it to be perfect. I just need to know where everything lives. So I know they're not interested in the aesthetic of a Kim Kardashian type pantry, which I'm not interested in either because it's not realistic for us in our normal day-to-day lives without a staff of 20 to maintain it. And I don't want to put in something that I know within weeks it will have failed because it will look like we haven't done our job properly. So I need to know, like, so are you full-time work? Like, are you working full time? Are you both working full time? Is how many people live here? Who lives here? How often are they? How long in the day are they here? If we're in a kitchen, do you want your kid? How old are your kids? Do you want them to feed themselves? Do you want them to get their own breakfast? Do you hate them to get their own breakfast? Do you have a dog? Where does he or she live? How do they? I like Spanish Inquisition, but we speak on the phone obviously in advance. I ask a lot of questions and I take in, and I can kind of assess how they're like. I know a person will want me to be stricter, or will say, "Look, we really need to." Where another client just wants maybe a bit more of an arm around to say, "You're doing really well." I know it's really hard.
How many have started crying when they tell you this?
Loads of people cry. I
get that all the time, do you?
I cried. Well, I cried.
So
I'd say when people say some of that stuff out loud, they're like, "Oh my God, I do so much," or someone else does so much and I don't do anything, or whatever the dynamic
Probably
is.
feeling so overwhelmed and just
they feel overwhelmed,
really
and
stressful.
it's the guilt as well, because like when I'm sort of when they say, "Oh, this is what I want it to look like, and this is our goal for the space, and I really want it to work in this way," and I'm sort of like, I actually don't think that's going to be manageable for you for X, Y, and Z reason, or I think you just need to either lower the expectation a little for what other people in your home. So I have certain expectations, but I can't have my whole family follow like my way because it's their home as well. Well, I turned this camera around, you'd see 4 jackets are sitting on the back of chairs in the kitchen, but like whatever, it's a home. We're trying to live here and be comfortable and happy. Ideally for me they wouldn't be there, but I have to. And like my clients, I say the same. They're like, I can't get my husband to row in with getting organized or staying on top of the system, where you just need to try and appeal to some sort of compromise. Sometimes I say maybe just swap him out, maybe declutter him, and then everything will be resolved.
Yeah.
Like you have to meet people halfway. Like he has to help, she has to help. It's not mum's job to keep everything organized. The kids have to understand and respect that as well, but they're still kids. So it's to answer your question, how do I do it? How do I very quickly empathize? Like we end up crying, laughing. Definitely my client, she lost her sister. It was really, really tragic, but it was 13 years until she felt able enough to have someone come in and help her, but she knew she couldn't do it by herself even after that 13-year time frame. And we honestly laughed and cried, and she was like, look at the stuff she kept, because she just kept everything in a box and never opened it again until we worked together. And I'd never met her before that day, and I'd never met her sister obviously, and I don't know her kids or her husband. And to be honest, we text all the time. I feel like she's one of my pals now. I'll send her this and she'll be laughing. But we talk a lot, and we really quickly connected because I was in that really important time for her where I helped her get to the next part. We didn't get rid of a lot of things, but we organised them and we kept the best of the best, and stuff for her sister's children. It was just such a real privilege for me to be there at that time. And I think days like that will sort of help with the other days where you're like on your hands and knees, like just trudging through kids' artwork and just trying to get to the end known. Similar, whilst it's not as tragic as that, I know by the end we're really helping people. So by the end, people really feel the relief, even if it's not the perfect way that you would want to be in your house. For our clients, everyone wants something different. Everyone's in a different environment, and nobody is like, whilst they think they want this perfect home, what they just want is to be happy in their homes and calm. And I love to be able to bring that to people.
Yeah, because you were saying earlier about like sleeping so well after a day like that. And yeah, I'm sure you're tired because it is hard work, but also your mind is so much clearer, and
The relief.
Like that, I can only imagine that
Yeah.
sense of relief. Like it's so nice, and it's so handy to have someone to do it with you as well. It's a massive,
Well, I'm independent,
massive
so I'm not connected
support.
to your stuff. So while I can see and be sentiment and understand and empathize with how sentimental it would be to get your kid's first piece of artwork from school, I also am practical, right? So if that's a poem that the teacher printed out 30 times and they scribbled on it, it's not really a personal thing.
Same.
Yeah, take a
you,
photo of
you
it.
know
Move on.
so but even for me, I'm like, well, that's someone else's poem. Like, where if your kid, like my son talked about being in the morgue because there's a pub close to us that we had dinner in, and he was like, I spent the weekend at the morgue because we ended up going there and I was
Yeah.
like, this is kind of funny because his teacher probably didn't realize it was a pub close by that we had dinner in. It sounds like we just take our children to the morgue at the weekend, so we sort of kept that funny thing. He drew a picture of my mum and she looked like instead, but like these printed out things, I'm like, guys, the kids won't thank you for the maths book from their second year,
No.
second class, when they're 30 and they're trying to get to their own home. They're like, Mom, they won't want it. They won't have space for it. And they probably will still be
Yeah.
living with us. So the reality is they don't need, like, so I think I try to be practical as well, but I can empathize, and it's difficult, but we have to have realistic goals here about how we're going to get rid of stuff.
So I'd love to know your process for how to figure, like, what's your line about like keep versus dump, and it must be different for everyone, but like
Yeah.
that because that decision is so difficult. I find if I'm going through decluttering, right, my process is like I can quite easily throw a whole bunch of stuff into the donate bag, and that's fine. Or there's stuff that's like broken, torn, whatever, that goes into the bin, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then there's this little kind of zone in the middle where I'm like, oh, do I want to, like, this? It's like, I don't know, it's like a concert ticket, and I wouldn't be particularly sentimental, so it's usually gone. But there are a few things like that I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll wear it again, or I might get back down to
Yeah.
that size at some stage. I don't know, like that bit is so difficult to work through. Like, how do you
So I
plow
think
through
because
that kind of messy middle?
our methodology is always the same when we go into homes, regardless of space, regardless of what's happening, whether it's like pre-move, post-move, just a regular wardrobe and kitchen. We empty the whole space and we categorize everything. So you're not just looking at one concert ticket. You'd look at 50 concert tickets, or so every category is like, so all of your shoes are there. That's like a good example. The shoes we've taken from your bedroom, the porch, under the stairs, the spare room, the back, wherever they are. And so you're looking at everything and you're making informed decisions then about what can stay, what can go. As opposed to if you just looked at one concert ticket, you might say, we'll keep that. Where do you keep that? Where if you're looking at 50, you'll be
Yeah.
like, well, realistically, or maybe you're looking at 50 and going, actually, I have enough to make like a book of them now, or take photos
Yeah.
of them and turn it into something, or frame it and make it a piece of art if they're really special times in your life. I think, but without looking at it all as one category. I think that's where it's critical. People just look at the one or two pairs of shoes and go, sure, I'll keep them. Sure, they're fine. But actually 50 pairs of shoes, you're going, well, actually, they're not actually overly comfortable. I don't really wear them.
Yeah.
They're never going to come back into fashion, even if they don't fit me now. Like people are keeping jeans because who knows? Is it skinny? Is it wide leg? Are we barrel? Or
Yeah.
what are we
Yeah.
wearing?
Yeah.
And people are like, well, if I hang on to those skinny jeans, it's going to come back around. But either they're going to be a slightly different style. They're not going to fit. I'd be more inclined now. Now, I currently am a different size, right? So I did keep one pair of Target jeans. But I know if like 6 months' time, I'll be able to go, listen, I've not made that. Just bought a new size, I'm up a size, and I've let them go. Because you just can't keep everything. We have this obviously finite space. But for me, the key to like making informed decisions is that you're looking at the full category. So you're looking at everything from that one
That makes
category.
so much sense.
And then you're
Yeah.
informed, okay, that is, excessive, or actually this is fine. And I have space for 50 pairs of shoes, so I'm keeping them all. Perfect. But it's without knowing how many. And I think this is the mistake people make when they try and contain. So they're like all about the baskets. They're going to go in and buy like beautiful baskets, spend a lot of money, but they don't fit. They're not fit for purpose. They don't match, this because you haven't done it in the order of empty it, categorize it, declutter. Then what we call it the reset, because obviously that's the company, like that's the bit of now you can buy the beautiful baskets because you've measured, it's going to fit, it's going in there. So you know the type of basket that you need, which is also very important. Or in the kitchen, the type of jar that's going to work. Is it going to be the kids using it? Like who's using the jar? Like there's so many questions about the containers and everything, and people think, oh, sure, you just walk in with a load of plastic and fill stuff for people and that's your job at the end of the day. It's not. We've done so many things before we've gotten to even thinking about buying a container, and whether or not that's even the right thing in that space. So there's a lot more to do pre the purchasing of containers to make the systems work, and I think that people tend to do it in the wrong order.
Everything you're saying makes so much sense to me, but I think it makes sense to me because I've gone through so many moves in the last few years.
Yeah.
Like, as in, I've renovated 3 times. We've moved from Galway to Dublin, whatever, and we've moved in and out of maybe 7 or 8 properties in that time. So I've done that move so many times. I've done that kind of reset that I've come to the realization that you just have to do that every time. But like, I wouldn't have been able to get there unless I had gone through those moves. And like, you know, that idea of just taking everything out and categorizing and going through it, like now I find it therapeutic. Like a while back, I probably didn't do that because I hadn't moved and I didn't see the pain in having all that stuff with me. And I think like that's fucking tenfold for me now with 2 small kids, because like the toys send me into overdrive at night. Like, so I am like so religious that like if they're not playing with it, it's gone. I have one like rotation box of toys up in the attic that it's like their toy shop. They want something from the attic, they bring up something of equal size and something else comes down. And that's
Great idea.
That's like their little, and they play with the stuff they have, you know, it's not just sitting there in a massive basket. So like, but like I find it, oh, it just makes me so much more relaxed. It's so worth the whole process.
They would be the same. So we talked about the start. If you're in a space, like if kids are, like people say all the time about the playroom situation and, you know, whether or not they have a playroom or should it be a different, like a den more so than just a place for plastic to kind of die in. And so they have these massive rooms full. And the kids don't go in there and they're like, the kids won't even play in there. It's because they're overwhelmed. It's because there's too much in there. It's because when they go in,
that
they
makes
don't.
so much sense.
They can't see the wood from the trees either. They've no interest in being in that space. They want to like play in a calm space that they can see what they want. You know, see like, and like Kate, you've described a little rotation, but not a whole room of rotation, but one box where one in, one out, because inevitably there's going to be birthdays, Santa's going to arrive, grandparents are always great one now for bringing the random, you know, so
random plastic stuff.
you know, and listen, and my daughter, like,
sorry guys,
yeah, big, huge,
Drum
massive
sets.
teddy bears, drum sets, all sorts. But when they want to play, like my daughter, she's nearly 10, so she doesn't have so much plastic left now. But when she goes to a friend's house or younger kids, like she'll happily play away with kitchens and different bits and random. You know, my husband's like, oh, she's really enjoying that toy there. She doesn't play like that at home. But like, no, because it's new, it's different, it's separate room, it's you know, it's different to them, and so that's grand. But they don't need, like, buying them all the stuff isn't going to make them have a better childhood by any means.
Or happier or anything.
Or
they
happier
just
or
play
more
with
content.
bits, and then they end up dumping everything out just to see it. Do you know, to try and make sense of it themselves, I think.
Exactly. And then you're
trying to
left at the
organise.
end. Yeah, and so kids will often be there when I'm working, and sometimes the kids are like, when is that woman leaving who's thrown in all my toys? And I try and avoid. So I do say to my clients, like, we can't just be throwing it all out when they're not here, because that's creating a mini hoarders. Like you're actually making a problem for yourself. I had clients who would openly say they're hoarders, and they know it's because their parents just chucked everything out, had no care or thought in the world for their favourite doll. She'd come home from school and be sitting in the top of a skip, because she was more like us of the get rid of it type. And she was the youngest of 3 girls, and so every toy she held in her hand, her other sisters would say, well, that was mine, that's mine. So she said, I never owned anything that was just mine, and I felt everything was a hand-me-down. And that's fine, I do that all the time with clothes and my friends, and of course we do it, but it's lovely that they had their own ownership over their own things as well, so that again later we need to be thinking about later and not creating this like hoarder type mentality. If you throw things out, break that trust with your children, they will have an issue. So you need to involve them. I talk about the fact that I bring toys to charities for children who don't have any toys or as many toys, or do you know what, are you a bit big for this toy now? Maybe younger kids will get more. You said that. And what's your favorite toys? I ask them all the time, you tell me what your favorite things are to play with, because it's all out, right? So it's it's emptied already before they've come home, and they'll pick maybe 3 or 4 things, and so we'll prioritize getting those in good space. They'll row in with the idea. And actually a lot, Miss Hazel, some of them call me like I'm a teacher, and they'll be like, Mom, send Miss Hazel a picture, I've put everything away, because whatever way they're going to get on board,
That's so cute.
you know, cute, like, but whatever way they're going to get on board with trying to help mum and dad maintain the system. And you know, it's okay to say, right, tidy up time, it's fine, it's okay to ask them to row in. So I think with playrooms with kids, rotation is good, but just not, it doesn't need to be everything, and less is more 100% with them.
Yeah. So like if we go back to like our renovation process, could you give us like a little bit of a top line kind of blow by blow of the pre kind of renovation move out process, and then the move back in, and maybe how you'd recommend keeping it organized longer term?
Yes. Okay. So I think with the pre-house or pre-move declutter, we do this before the renovation begins, before you move into that rental.
Yeah.
We will tackle usually the high use rooms. So we focus on kitchens because what's likely is, especially if you're renovating your kitchen, the next version of that kitchen is going to be completely different. So kitchens are always the top priority for a renovation and kids. And so we'll spend time in each space figuring out what do you need in the rental. So it's like phase one. What do we need? Like that mapping exercise, like what do we actually need in the new rental? It's smaller. Okay, so we need to cut by 50%. Sometimes we'll put a number on it and we'll talk about the 50% all the time. And so when we're looking at, 4 wooden spoons, 2 can go very quick. And I think when people have a number, they know, yeah, actually, I don't need 4 wooden spoons. So we very quickly can remove, and it's not about pretty at this stage. It's not about looking gorgeous by the end. It's about reduction by 50% as an example, and functionality and what you're using every day. Some of my clients are very keen chefs and bakers, and we talk about that. I'm not, right? So it's very it's not my forte. One of the girls on the team is a food stylist, so she's there a lot of the time when it's anything to do with a kitchen, because she'll know very quickly, well, actually these things you don't need, whatever. So it's about figuring out the mapping of what you need in the rental, but keeping in mind all the time, well, I don't want to get rid of things that I will need eventually when I come back in. So we talk about storage at that stage, and we focus.
You work with interior designers at this stage, Hazel?
We sometimes will.
Plans,
yeah, we have worked. I've worked with lots of interior designers who will, for example, we had a client who gorgeous wardrobe built, and she didn't have any long hanging, right? But I knew from having worked with her that she had very long coats, very long dresses. Like that was part of her day-to-day wardrobe, and it wasn't baked into the plan. Now, it wasn't the interior designer's fault. They're looking at symmetry and finishes and how it looks, but not usability for this client. And I worked with Vogue quite a lot. She's a lot of knee-high boots. They didn't fit anywhere in her wardrobes that were there, but they were designed. I guess she wasn't involved at that time, but you need to think about what it is that I have and how is my design going to support that. So I've definitely looked at plans and helped opine on, maybe drawers not being deep enough for kitchens where I know there's a lot of pots and pans, or very keen bakers, like where is the food going? And a practical level, like a back kitchen is great, but actually that's a lot of steps just to cook. Like, can we have oils and spices close to the hob? Like, how are we going to integrate that? So we're thinking on a more practical level than interior designer, who's obviously thinking about beautiful aesthetic and the finish, and they're trying to think about function, of course. But I think sometimes independently we're adding it in, and we do look at plans quite a bit. But I think the pre-move declutter needs to focus on high use areas and a real, like I said, it's not about pretty, so it's a quick one. It's a quick dump or donate or keep or store, so that the actual pack up for the move into the rental is so much easier. And then we do the same process again in the rental. Again, we're at the rental, kids have gotten older, things have changed, seasons have moved on, it's time to move back in. It's been 6 months since or 9 months or 18 or 2 years, some depending on the size of the reno. We're going back in now. We need to do the same process again, a mapping exercise for what's going to live where. Like, I've clients who are building renos and they now have no storage for toys. So toys now need to move out of where they were downstairs into the kids' bedrooms. So we're looking at storage in bedrooms, but also trying to reduce a lot and think about rotation. There's a huge amount for the move back in, but generally, because you've at that point built in sufficient storage, and we've talked about storage, you have a place for everything. It's the move out to the rentals probably more difficult than the move into the reno, because we've taught it.
When you're moving out, like, do you have a particular system in terms of like boxes or hanging bags or stuff like that? Like, is there anything that you've come across that's like, it has to be clear moving boxes, or it has to be whatever so you can see everything? Like, so or is it different every...
It depends on what it is. So I think if you're using a professional moving company, I love the wardrobe boxes with the bar. They're expensive, but I think they make then the unpack, especially if you're storing stuff, you're just literally taking it off a bar. It's already on a hanger, just putting it into a wardrobe. But then if you're doing it yourself, just a big black sack. I did it on my Instagram again. I'll send it to you. You just bring the bag up over the clothes and tie a little knot at the top, and then all your hanger. And then again, it's keeping it free from dust. And again, you're able to just open the bag and it's in the wardrobe, it's on the hangers, there's no mess. But if you're changing your wardrobe configuration from hanging to folding or vice versa, then it's not going to be a perfect one. Things like the plastic boxes, again, if you're putting very heavy things in there and storing them for a very long time, they can crack. It depends on quality. So it depends if you're using professional movers or if you're trying to do it all yourself. I would say people underestimate that. They think like, I could do this myself, just throwing a few things in boxes, but the actual volume of things that you've completely underestimated. So
it's
always,
every time I've ever moved from anywhere, like into a rental or into a house I bought or whatever, it's 3 times more stuff and 3 times longer than you think it's going to take. You're like, grand, I'll pack up this, whatever, I'll get it done this weekend. No way. Like, it is, even for me without kids, it just takes
last
so
bits
much longer.
the last bits are mad, aren't they? Like the last bits seem to take like 60-80% of the time sometimes,
because you're tired by then.
You can do like the books go in here, the clothes go in here, the whatever go in here, and then you're like, where does the vase go? Where does the, like, it's so frustrating.
And how do I store it so it doesn't break if I'm trying to do it by myself? Like, so investing in boxes, I think, is a good idea, and paper and bubble wrap. But also, if there's really expensive items, maybe you just need some professional movers to help.
All like professionals now, if you can afford it.
Yeah, but I think the more you do in advance, the easier it is for them. So again, we'll work obviously with clients pre-move, then the movers will come in and they are like brilliant, like locusts, right? But they're going to move. If you've left half a turkey, this happened, half a turkey.
It goes in a box.
It was Christmas. They moved a turkey from the fridge to the turkey across it. And I said, these guys are on holidays. This turkey is going to like it's gone. It's for the bin, lads. They don't make those decisions.
Massive respect. No, that's brilliant. I love that.
You know, but I think
they could have had the opposite. They could have come back for the turkey that night and been raging that, like,
no, they were wet.
It was Christmas Eve. You threw away my turkey.
I was post Christmas. It was half a turkey, and they weren't coming back till New Year. And I was like, lads, this is a bin job. This is like, compost this bad boy. We don't need the turkey to move across the, like, we were moving them across the road, mirror image of a house, and we had photographs of each room, and we were setting up the kids' rooms like to the point where they wouldn't have really known that they were in a different house, because everything like was just so on their lockers and everything was, you know, perfect. But that's where the movers were great, because they did all the muscle, all the heavy lift, and my team were there to do the unpack and make it look perfect on the other side. But what made that easier was that we'd worked with that client so much in the, you know, before, and we're actually working with her now again to the opposite way, to go back across the road. So hopefully it won't be Christmas time for her this time. But yeah, I think it depends. I do think that the more difficult one is before you even leave pre-renovation. I think the next part is easier because you've likely put in good storage, and the way that you store it, just it depends on budget, but also what it is that you're storing in the boxes, where they're going to be stored, right? So if you're using a garage or somewhere that's going to be damp in any way, like obviously you're not putting good stuff in there, but you know, clear, like, boxes with lids covered is probably the best way. Like, cardboard's not going to survive in a damp environment, so it just is thoughtful about where it is going to be stored and the price of it, because it's professional storage isn't cheap, but it might be worth it in longer term if it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And then, Hazel, how do people keep it going after? So like, you're back in, you've got your move, or maybe maybe it's not a renovation, maybe you've just come in and done, you know, a life reset and a home reset, and then you're gone. And obviously people can stay in touch with you, but like, how do you put those systems in place to keep maintenance? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I think the first piece is that the system that we put in is simple enough for everyone to follow, right? So if the system is simple enough, it should be maintainable. But then, of course, life happens. New things will enter your home, and people will say, "Oh, just so much stuff," but we're in control of what comes in. So most of the things that are there, we've brought in. So we can't blame, I don't know, the invisible man. So like, sometimes clients will be like, "Hey, so are you bringing your stuff? Because this isn't my stuff. I don't have this much stuff. This isn't mine. Like, are you bringing stuff in? Because there's so much." So I think it's about the go forward maintenance rules for me are 1 in, 1 out, okay, across the board. So whether it's in your kitchen, you've bought a new set of plates. Oh, I loved this bowl, a vase. Look at this lovely new vase. Let's look at the vases we already have and figure out, like I say, Simon Kell, my kids don't know what I'm talking about, but you know, like judges' houses where they had to like eliminate. So I'm like, guys, Simon, and they don't even know who Simon Kell is, but I'm like, Simon Kell, it's time to eliminate a teddy bear because new teddy bears have to come in, or a new pair of shoes, or a new pair of trainers. My husband bought me trainers for my birthday last year, which was a surprise, and I was like, oh, I don't really have another pair of trainers that I want to get rid of. This wasn't my choice. So I went with like a pair of heels or something else. I did a joke online and I threw one of his pair of runners in the bin. But then I had like people coming on to me saying, "That's very wasteful." I was like, "I know, that was a joke. Obviously I'm not throwing something in the bin.
Not going to go to the bin.
Not going to go to the bin." But okay, even if it's not the exact same category, I got rid of a pair of heels that I wasn't going to wear, or, you know, another pair of shoes in a different category. But if I just got rid of a coat, it's okay. It's just about trying to stay on top of volume. So one in, one out, I love. Love it or let it go. So things that I loved like last season, it's okay to not love them again now. Or a picture that I used to love to see in a frame. Now the kids are a bit older, I'm actually going to change that up, and actually that frame. But it's okay to. It's decluttering isn't a one-time event. Basically, it's a lot. Like things change, your taste will change, and it's okay to go. Actually, I know I spent a lot of money on that, but I'm actually going to donate it, or I'm going to try and sell it online or whatever. So that's another one. To go easy on yourself, but also it is a constant thing we have to be thinking about how our tastes and lifestyle will change. And then the third thing, which again, I love it as a rule in general, is put back, not down. So people will just put things down on flat surfaces, like the post will just land, art will just land. It's about actioning the item and putting it back to where it lives. Now, again, it's not strict. Okay, we're in our homes, we're supposed to be relaxed and enjoying ourselves. But actually, the next morning when you come down, if you've put the things away, if you've spent that 5 minutes to do the dishwasher or whatever, to have those clear surfaces, it makes a huge difference to your mood as you enter that space the next day.
I love the actioning the item. I'm going to put one in my kitchen, because my husband tends to open mail and then leave it on the kitchen island open.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point of it is, but I'm like, just do something with it.
I
say to now, like, put that away.
Yeah.
So my husband, he works from home quite a lot, but he has shredder right in his office. So I'm always like, I just put it in his work bag, because I know the next time he's in the office, he'll know the stuff in his bag to be shredded, because we can't just be putting it necessarily in our recycle bin. So there has to be a system to get rid of the stuff when it's confidential. So either having a small shredder in your house might be the solution. Maybe you have a small office, or maybe it lives in a press in, you know, the playroom area, or even in the sitting room, somewhere that you can then action the item in the best way, not hanging around like, what am I going to do with this? This is actually quite confidential, don't know how to get rid of it. You know, it's about building the system out so that, and I think by taking a step back and just looking at the things that happen, like in your house, things are landing, your husband's not, like, why is that? Does he need a shredder? Does he need to just start putting it back, or putting it down, or recycling it, what are the things that land, and why is that? It's because there's no home. Like the reality is there's no place for it to live. So I think hallways are one that I find, again, if there's nowhere for shoes and bags and coats and stuff to land, because you've no boot room or there's no option, then come up with a solution that's going to help the whole family with that issue, so you're not falling over runners coming in, because it's the first thing you're seeing coming in the door. If you're already quite stressed after a busy day, and then you're like falling over 16 pairs of runners, it's not going to help your mood. So there's lots of ways you can just take one step back and go, what are the problem areas here, and how can I tackle them? How can I give them a place?
So many nuggets in there, I think. Like, I feel like I just want to go declutter again now, although I do it too much. I'm probably like a 1 in 4 out kind of person, so I'm probably going to be left with no more.
I need my wardrobe done now. I need a wardrobe reset. That's my next.
I need wardrobes. I need wardrobes, and then I'm going to do a wardrobe reset, I think.
Oh, lovely.
Hazel, that was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Go on.
So many nuggets.
I
love it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, my last question I was going to ask you before you let you go is there anything that you're always like, you walk into someone's house and you're like, oh my God, they've done it again, that you just like, that you leave a listener with, to be like, this will make your life so much easier if you just do this? Do you know?
Now, this is more of a design one, I think, and like I said, I'm not a tier designer, but I do find, and I don't know, hopefully now I'm not contradicting, well, this is for me personally, you know, and I don't have one, but you know, like the boot rooms or the utility spaces where people keep coats. Why, when we open those doors, those wardrobes, essentially doors, are we going with hooks in there instead of a bar?
Real makes so much sense. Yeah.
For me,
it fits so much more in, I suppose.
Yeah, now, you know the beautiful where it's just 3 hooks on the wall, and it's, we're all supposed to sit on these lovely benches and take our shoes off and put them into the drawers. Like those hooks are just going to be chaos. I know 1 or 2 things hanging can look like so beautiful, but in the reality, if you have, you can have that, but if you also had a door, like a wardrobe, instead of putting hooks in there, just put a pole and just hang your coats in, because you can see them, access them, and everything that I'm talking about is making sure that everything's visible and accessible for everyone that needs them. So if your kids can't reach those hooks, or if your kids have 17 coats, every coat's just going to go on top of this hook, and everything's going to fall, and all they'll wear is that top one, because they can't see what's underneath. So for me, the hooks, I just think are wild, and I think when I see the hooks, I'm like, well, this is not working for anyone. That's more of a design thing. And for me, I think it's
so
the
true
vibe.
though, because with the best will in the world, like with so many, the temperature variations in Ireland are insane. Like the weather changes so much.
Yeah, you could need a rain, winter jacket, everything.
I'd love to live in a country where I can
coats.
just throw on my winter coat or my summer coat, but we have to have like rain jackets, short jackets, long jackets, coats. You know, we do need like a million coats. Just is what it is.
I have a friend who's Swedish, and she like it'd be minus 30, you know, and she's like, every house is just built with enough storage for a lot of coats, a lot of boots, a lot of, you know, and we need something similar. So does that, for me, I just think wild how people want to store coats when we have so many. And also the buying of the storage before the declutter. I think that's the common.
Oh, that's
the
most
common thing I see. Buying stuff, like you said earlier, without measuring space.
Yeah.
Like not buying the purposeful baskets. Like I bought a media unit when I moved back in after my renovation. It's a pretty long media unit, but I measured all of the shelves and I went out to Home Store More and bought exact plastic bucket shelves that fit them, and it fits all the kids' toys pretty much.
Perfect. And I think what's important,
but like it uses every inch, like.
You use every inch, but you've bought a product that you can probably rebuy. And I think people see these kind of one-offs, you know, in some of the stores that just have these one-offs and they look good for a point in time, but you can't replace them. You'll never be able to find the one that matches it again. And if, again, I just think the wrong size and not measuring, for me, the storage purchasing needs to happen way later in the process.
I agree.
You have to remember that store has been styled and it looks good there for a reason. It's not necessarily going to look good in your house.
Exactly. It's not realistic.
Yeah. Throw shit out, guys.
Throw shit out. Let's just get rid of
If in doubt.
Look.
Throw shit out. Oh, that was so good.
Brilliant.
So good.
You're so welcome. So nice. Thanks so much.
I feel more organised already, even though I haven't actually.
I know. And if anyone wants to avail of Hazel's services, go to the Home Reset, because I feel like I want to get you into organise my wardrobe as soon as we have wardrobes.
Oh yeah, you must share your design with me. I'd love to have a look.
Yeah. That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank
and we'll
you,
see
ladies.
everyone
Thank
else
you so much.
in a week. Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
If you found this episode helpful, please hit subscribe, give us a few stars, and best of all, send it to someone else who you think would like it so they can subscribe too. Thank you.